Yeah, I mean, you just look at all these scammers and unethical people, they end up losing it.
They do, because really they're chasing our brain goes into this, what I call this, the 5 primary emotions. And the 5 primary emotions are pride, shame, infatuation, guilt, and resentment. And the more prideful we become, that creates the chaos of the guilt and shame and resentment. So you got to crash after that.
Yeah.
It's the ups that cause the crash, not the down that builds the up.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. Welcome back to the show, guys. Got Dr. Alok Trivedi here, Dr. Rewire in the building. How's it going, man?
Great, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I've studied your work, and I'm very impressed with how you got into this. And I think what you're doing is going to leave a huge impact on the world, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah, it's been about 30 years worth of making, putting this whole thing together and understanding the brain, the body, and then actually helping people rewire their patterns and things that are holding them back.
I feel like there's been a lot of development in the brain area lately, right?
Yeah, there's tons. There's so much information on it, and every day you hear something new as it comes out to the new technology, the science, the nootropics, everything that's coming out there. And it's, when you've been doing this for almost 25, 30 years, this all seems new, but we've been doing it a long time. But yeah, there's lots of technology that's out there.
And your whole philosophy kind of goes against the traditional grain, right? Instead of medications, you're trying to rewire people's brains.
That's exactly right. I'm not really interested. Not that I'm not interested. I'd rather keep medication and that where at the very last stage where it needs to be.
Right.
I think a lot of times, even in this performance world, in entrepreneurship, and that people are jumping on a lot of, let's just call them drugs, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Medications, drugs, even microdosing them a little too early because they feel better, but we don't know the long-term effects of that. The brain is actually trying to get us much more balanced.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to rewiring the brain, some people have years of trauma, right?
Yeah.
How long does it take to sort of rewire that?
It takes minutes. It doesn't take a long time. And here's the thing, I don't like the word trauma. So the reason I don't like the word trauma, because people associate trauma with like crazy, and massive accidents and things like that. But it's not that, right? You and I could have great lives. Our parents screwed us up because they give us good childhoods, right? Like they really screwed us up in that. Yeah. But those things, our day-to-day life is creating what I call root experiences. And these root experiences are in essence negative and positive. Most people don't look at it. They say trauma is just a negative term, right? Like this negative thing happened to me, so now I'm traumatized. But it's actually not that. You could be the valedictorian of your school and that be a trauma, be a root experience. You could be you've heard it. We've all heard this. Don't peak in high school, right?
Yeah,
when you're the homecoming queen or the quarterback as a football, you don't want to peak too early because the cycle always works. You have a positive root experience that actually leads to the negative root experience. So the real cause of things in what people call trauma is not the negative. It's actually the positive.
Wow. So what are some common things your clients are coming in for to rewire?
Well, a lot of times a lot of business owners actually, truthfully, come in. Entrepreneurs come in and say, I used to be successful. I made it really big and I lost it all.
Right.
And now I'm trying to get it all back. But they're afraid to get it back because they're stuck in this pattern, saying that like I'm stuck, can't make any more money, and their whole construct is now if they actually create more money, they're afraid of going through that pain of losing it again. Right? People do this with relationships, divorces. They do this with business, and most people that come to me typically, at least our entry point is people come in and say, I want to make more money.
Right.
But I say this all the time, is that money is a symptom. It's not the cause. And the more money, it's not about the money. It's about actually truly being in balance with who you are in your brain.
Yeah. Do you believe money is a form of energy?
It is completely. I think money is just a form of energy and a value of resources and exchange.
Yeah. So you believe you have to make it ethically in order to keep getting more, right?
I don't know that you have to make it ethically, to be honest. That sounds weird. I don't know that you really do. And I'm not promoting unethical behavior, but what I am saying is not about that. It's, are you providing value to somebody? Because look, you're providing value to someone somewhere as a business. But I would definitely propagate, it's probably better to do it ethically than unethically.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at all these scammers and unethical people, they end up losing it.
They do, because really they're chasing our brain goes into this, what I call this, the 5 primary emotions. And the 5 primary emotions are pride, shame, infatuation, guilt, and resentment. And the more prideful we become, that creates the chaos of the guilt and shame and resentment. So you got to crash after that.
Yeah.
It's the ups that cause the crash, not the down that builds the up.
Absolutely.
Right? See, if you think about it, like I was just watching Rocky yesterday, for crying out loud, because it was a Rocky marathon on TV.
Classic.
It's a classic. But everyone's looking at the hero story, the underdog trying to get from nothing to the top. But the truth is that you can also be up and crash and then stay in that pattern as well.
Yeah. So do you believe life is very cyclical, ups and downs? Shout out to Rocket Money. Have you guys ever had a subscription you forgot about or double paid on a subscription? Look no further than Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that you can use to track and cancel unwanted subscriptions and monitor your spending. It also helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. With Rocket Money, you have full control over your subscriptions and a clear view of your expenses. You can see all your subscriptions in one place, and if you see something you don't want, they can help you cancel it with just a few taps. Your dashboard also shows you your monthly spending compared to last month, so you can track your spending habits and create a custom budget to help keep your spending on track. Rocket Money also negotiates lower bills for you by up to 20%. They help me get my phone bill down. All you gotta do is submit a picture of your bill and they take care of the rest. They'll deal with customer service for you. They have over 5 million users, have saved over $500 million in canceled subscriptions, and they save their members up to $740 a year on average when you use the app. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/DSH. That's rocketmoney.com/DSH.
Here's the thing I'll say. It's not a matter of my belief. It's a matter of the brain and the science behind it. Because it's completely shown that your dopamine patterns run on a sine wave, on a cyclical pattern for sure.
Wow.
Inside of it. All our waves do. So, but we have to express those things. Our brain is trying to get us to express those sine waves and those waves inside of things.
Fascinating, yeah, because you never see someone just always on the up. There's always peaks and valleys.
Look, I mean, we're doing this social media. Everyone's on social media. It's great. Social media is fantastic. But that's only one side of someone's life.
Right.
And it's really big in the world of depression, anxiety, and all these things because people look at someone's life and they say, oh my God, like we're shooting this after the F1. You're at the F1, your life must be amazing. Well,
yeah.
Everyone's got drama and crap on the other side.
For sure.
Like, and if you don't, everyone's got good parts of their life, they've got negative parts of their life. But if we get stuck in just the aspect of just something that's only positive all the time, that's where delusions kick in. That's where anxieties kick in. That's where, honestly, thoughts kick in. That's where depression kicks in. Because you're trying to be a one-sided being and a one-sided person, which just doesn't exist.
Yeah. So over 72% of entrepreneurs have some sort of mental issue right now. That is astronomical. Why do you think it's so high?
I think because in the entrepreneurial cycle, we get stuck on dopamine. So you're always chasing. Right? We're always chasing the next goal, the next target, the next income. And what we do is we have this mentality as entrepreneurs. We should say, well, you know, that the more you work, you grind it out, that type of philosophy. And the startup philosophy, let's call it that you have to go through these hardships in order to create income in your life. Which is probably true some level. But what we do is that mentality is what leads us to become depressed. That grind it out causes adrenal fatigue, blood pressure issues, cortisol issues, weight issues, diabetes. And we don't talk about that, right? So this is the conversation I'm trying to bring to the market, to say, look, entrepreneurs, if we really want to be healthy, it's not just about, you know, working out and taking a bunch of testosterone. It's about protecting this thing. Yeah. It's about protecting this thing because this thing is what's causing all of this to go array. Yeah. And we can't just take a bunch of peptides and things that make us feel good short term, but this going downhill.
Yeah, the depression, anxiety stuff always fascinated me because being in the U.S., we're considered the top countries financially and success-wise, and our rates are super high compared to other countries.
It is because we're always chasing someone else's dreams rather than our own. Yeah. Right? Fulfillment in a game, like my family's from India, fulfillment from, you know, I remember when I was 12 years old, I went to India, and crazy story, but we're in a train, and literally people are outside, and like they're just having bowel movements because they had nowhere to go, right? Wow. But these people were just fulfilled and just being who they were. I'm not saying that you live that life, but what I'm saying, it was a very interesting contrast to sit and say, here we're chasing things, right? You know, you just did an exit for 10 million, then you do one for 20 million. I got to build the next thing. You got to build the next thing. Right. Over there, it's not about chasing that. It's just about being free in that. But there's another side, and that side, they're chasing fulfillment, right? They're looking for this external nirvana, external place of freedom inside of that, where poverty is it. I think there's a perfect balance in life. If you can master the marriage between fulfillment and success, you can actually have truly everything you really want.
Yeah. So how do people get there? Because right now, like you said, people are fulfilled, like they get fulfillment out of money mainly.
Yeah. Well, they think they do. Then they don't. Right. Right? Because you get lots of money, then you fulfilled for a week or two, you go blow it, and then what do you do? Yeah. I like to say people like to sit in there, they're financially free, and they chase freedom, but the only reason they're chasing freedom is because they're trapped.
Wow, that's deep.
And it's you perceive that you're trapped, so now you're going to go and try and chase freedom. And entrepreneurs are notorious for this, is that they think that the next sale, the next money, that's going to give them freedom, but it doesn't. And so the real answer is that you got to find your path to make sure that the brain is actually rewired and moving it forward so that you can actually be completely certain in who you are from the inside out, not the outside in.
Yeah. And you're able to rewire brains in 10, 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's gotten faster as time has progressed, as I'm refining my skills with it for sure. But yes, I mean, my fastest with depression has been 7 minutes.
Wow.
But typically within 20, 30 minutes, I can pretty much do anything under the sun.
That's insane, because some people go to years of therapy and they still don't get better.
They don't, because and my process is what I like to call an anti-therapy approach to the whole thing. Because therapy, for the most part, is like you go, you tell your story again and again and again and again. And honestly, I don't want someone's stories.
Yeah.
Because your stories is the crap that you make up to keep yourself protected. I don't want that, and you don't want that either. So let's get beyond the story, and let's get to the principles of the brain, rewire that, and get rid of it so that you don't have to stay stuck in it. And typically, and I'm not saying it's everyone, but therapy is a lot of telling the story again and again and again.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, what do we do as friends? We say, oh my God, you're going through a rough time in your life, tell me about it. And then what you do is you replay that pattern, that whole story. I can't believe that Susie did this and this person did this, and that story gets patterned. And what it does is you're just remyelinating the pathways in your brain. And you keep telling that story again and again and again. You're just making it deeper and deeper and deeper. It's like hiking in the woods.
Wow.
You just keep making the trail deeper inside of it.
Yeah.
And what that does, it screws you up long term inside that. So stop telling your stories.
Wow, that's insane, because there's, Hollywood pushes therapy pretty heavily.
It does, and we're trying to break into Hollywood. There's certain people that we're trying to help with that and work with them a little bit more.
Yeah.
But people used to call me the cut the doctor, because I'm not really interested in the story, because the story is what you've made up, right? We've made that up as a protective mechanism for us to survive, because our brain is built on survival, not abundance. As much as everyone wants to live in the land of abundance and freedom and all that stuff, it's not designed that way.
Right.
And so we protect ourselves with the story, but then we tell everybody to make ourselves feel validated. And the problem with that is that it really causes an impact on the brain inside that. And the problem is not just the brain, because the brain is connected to every single cell in the body, right? And I'm going to say something pretty controversial here, is that I don't believe that there's just mental health. I believe mental health is a farce in essence, because you can't have mental health without physical health. 94% of the serotonin is made in your stomach. So that's the thing that makes you feel good.
Wow.
And if the stomach isn't working properly and your digestive system is shot and you have Crohn's, irritable bowel, dysbiosis, or any of these things going on in the stomach, your brain isn't going to function properly. You're not going to get the neurotransmitters to the brain.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys.
We'll sit and say that, okay, well, I've got this depression, anxiety, but the problem is in the gut.
Wow.
We can't sit and say that it's mental health and just physical health. It's just health. And it's about being whole completely.
So that's why they call the gut the second brain.
They do. That's exactly right, because most of the neurotransmitters, not all, but most of the neurotransmitters are actually made in the stomach.
Fascinating. So diet really plays a role into health then.
It's immense. Like, I come from an East Indian background in Ayurvedic medicine, which is thousands of years old. They have this principle is that everything begins and ends in the gut. And they were onto a principle of this and bringing your body to balance, but it was all through the gut. But yeah, it's the whole system.
Wow.
Diet, exercise, nutrition, breathing, sleeping, all of that is just as important for mental health as how you think.
Is it true you're able to help people rewire their brains to fight off diseases?
It is. I don't say that you can fight off diseases, but I will tell you that if your brain is in a pattern, then you have much more proponency to be able to create diseases. I've taken people, and I don't say this as a claim, so I'm not making a medical claim in any capacity, but people, when they rebalance their brain and rewire their brain, they've cleared lupus, they've cleared irritable bowel disease, Crohn's disease, digestive disorders, acid reflux, like you name it, I've seen it pretty much under the sun. And things that are not supposed to heal.
Wow.
Right? Medically, they're like, you're not supposed to heal lupus. That's not supposed to be irreversible, or that's irreversible. It's not supposed to go backwards. I have cases where people have worked with me for a day and no longer have these issues.
Yeah.
And it's not about me. It's about the process, about rewiring it and bringing your body and brain to balance. I like to sit and say that ultimately what I'm doing is I'm helping the body heal, which is just helping, an acronym I've used for many years called helping energy align with love.
Yeah. I align with the Eastern medicine philosophies where the body is the healer rather than taking stuff.
It is. No matter what we do, no matter what, there's some brilliant doctors in the world. And there's some brilliant medical doctors, there's some brilliant non-medical doctors, naturopaths. There's brilliant doctors everywhere. But ultimately, it's the body that does the healing. We're all just a bunch of facilitators in that process.
Yeah. Is it true emotions are stored in the organs and muscles?
It is. It is. It's the emotions get stuck in different patterns. So if you really take this a step further, I like to use, people like to use the word passion, right? Live with passion. Passion is a farce. Passion means to suffer. And people don't know that, but they use that word in their language like, hey, I want to be passionate. I want to be passionate. You really want to be inspired, because inspired is about taking breath in.
Right.
And an organ that is actually stuck and frozen from an emotional pattern, from what the root experience is, what that'll do is actually holds into that organ, and that's where disease and ailment becomes. Right? So there's a lot of treatments and modalities that are coming out there. Like I went the other day, because I'm here in Vegas, I went to one of these oxygen baths.
Yeah.
Brilliant, right? It's brilliant because you're putting oxygen into the body. My friend Gary Brecka, he's a celebrity biohacker, and he's brilliant with what he says. But he says that oxygen is the key to life. And the presence of oxygen is the absence of disease. That's a true statement in every capacity. I'm rewiring the body on patterns where oxygen gets stuck. And so what we're doing is when we open that up, your body begins to heal and it begins to function correctly.
Wow.
And we've always known that the body can heal itself. It just has to be in the right environment to do so.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
How does an oxygen bath work? I'm curious.
That's great. So literally, it's just this tub of water. You lay in it, and it's just, I don't know what the percentage of water, and depending on where it is, but it's just oxygen in the water, high concentration of oxygen. You kind of float a little bit too inside. It's really interesting. But I wanted to test it. I wanted to see, okay, I want to hold my breath and see, is oxygen going into my cells? I held my breath for like 4 minutes.
What?
I'm serious. It was crazy.
Wow.
I was like, this is insane. And I probably could have gone longer. I was just kind of getting bored.
That's insane, because I do the Wim Hof every morning, and I can only do like 2.5 minutes.
And that's great, right? But the only reason we need oxygen is for our cells to go through what's called aerobic respiration. So we take it in from the body, from here, right? We're in Vegas. They pump oxygen into the casinos.
Because there's no trees.
Because there's no trees in there, right? But the more oxygen-rich environment we're in, the more life expansion we have.
Nice.
And so if you can get oxygen from your body in the water, then great, amazing. Your body begins to function better, works clearly, and you actually begin to heal. That's why they were even saying, and this is why, like people who have ailments, cancer diseases, they go there for that type of treatment, because it's the oxygen that's the key to life.
Wow, that is so fascinating.
And so if I take a step further to the brain, right? If your lungs are working properly and you get enough oxygen into the brain, what happens is it gets the receptors in the brain to actually function correctly. That's why breathing, when you do Wim Hof, for example,
feel amazing.
You feel amazing because you're getting oxygen into the body, and the lungs can work correctly, which go to the brain, stimulate the dopamine receptors, get the body working, get the amygdala charged up, and you're ready to go.
Wow.
So it's crucially important. That's why exercise, all this stuff is super important for longevity.
Yeah. What are some other health hacks, biohacks that you do?
Man, I do a lot of different things. So I love my sauna.
Yeah.
Sauna is my favorite.
You do infrared?
I do. I like infrared better.
Yeah.
Because I want to actually use it for cell deterioration and cancer deterioration. So I sit in my sauna every day, 30 minutes every morning. It's one of my favorite things. I love the idea of fasting, but you got to be careful with fasting, because I over-fasted.
Yeah, you did?
I totally screwed it up.
Oh, man.
Because I watched all these videos like, you got to fast all the time. But really functional health and functional medicine is also one of my specialties inside of it. So, but what I did is I screwed up my thyroid, because you go too far. So what you want to do is you want to be able to fast in a certain amount. So 24 hours once a week is a good space. Now, it's interesting, right? A lot of religions, a lot of cultures that were doing that a long time ago. And what you do is you give your body a chance to cleanse inside of it, to heal from that inside as well. I also use what's called an aerobic respirator, and it's a lot of opera singers that use it. And so what it does, it actually open the expansion of your lungs. And so it's a breathing tool, a training tool, which gets more oxygen into the body. And so as you go longevity, then that's important inside that, right?
Wow. Because
what we do is, there's lots of research on this, and I can't quote it, but as you get older, our mobility goes down. And I used to be a chiropractor, and I've seen it all day long, is that your thoracics, your mobility is not as high. And so I do a lot of aerobic respiration from the aerobic trainer. What else do I do? I love my high-intensity trainings.
Yeah.
I love my high-intensity trainings. PEMF mats, infrared mats, red light therapy, cold plunges, just kind of standard.
You go hard, man.
Yeah, and I don't try and do it every day, though. Right? I don't do it every day. I think it's crazy to try to do it every day.
Yeah.
Because the more you do, the less you're going to do consistently.
Right.
So I kind of just throw it into my cycle and kind of, once a week, twice a week for most things. My sauna I like to do every day too.
Yeah, same. I love sauna.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to fasting too much, how many days were you doing it where it got too excessive?
It just depends on what your actual, if you're eating below your basal metabolic rate.
Yeah.
And I was doing, one meal a day for 6 months.
Wow.
That was too much.
Yeah.
Right? Because here's the thing. Here's the entrepreneurial mentality. You go all in.
Yeah.
Right? You go all in, but that's not really the secret. There's a balance.
Yeah.
There's a balance in the whole game, and when we rewire the brain, you bring that to balance. So I was going too far in that, but so I changed it. Now I do my protein in the morning. First thing as I get up is a lot of great health leaders are talking about right now. It's so important to start your day with protein first thing in the morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What happens is it resets your blood sugars, and you don't actually feel hungry inside that. So what do? We get up in the morning. Most people run for coffee, and the problem is it's when you go for the coffee, you get a stimulant of the caffeine, and you get the blood sugars to release from that, but it's not really nutrition to the system. You've just spent 10 hours fasting, hopefully, and sleeping. Now your body needs protein for repair and your immune system and all that. So when you start your day with protein, it regulates the cycle of blood sugar balance versus having these spikes. So now you have coffee, and then the first thing people will typically do is, and after that, they'll go after some bread or toast, and their blood sugar spike.
Skyrockets.
They skyrocket, and they crash. If the saying is this, and everyone knows it, if you're 10 years old, you're watching this, you know this. If it goes up, it's got to go down.
Yeah.
So what you don't want is these massive spikes. What you want is these rolling hills inside that. When you do that, you set yourself up for much more brain activity inside that.
Interesting. Yeah, I do intermittent fasting, so I skip it. What are your thoughts on that? I skip breakfast.
Yeah, it depends. I wouldn't suggest to do that anymore.
Really?
I don't. I don't. I think you do that once or twice a week. That's fine.
Okay.
But a lot of people are like, oh, just don't eat breakfast in the morning and fast 16, 18 hours a day. Okay. But remember, the body is adaptive. So whatever you do consistently, it just says, oh, this is normal. But it doesn't want to be that. You have hormesis, which is part of the body's cycle to put stress on it. So you want to do that once or twice a week, fine. I don't have a problem with that. But consistently, you want nutrition. You want diet inside that. And there's this, if you look in the metabolic world, the fitness world, some people are saying that, you know what, you've got to eat every 2 hours, and other people are like, you don't eat at all, right? What's the real answer? The real answer is both. What I've realized is that you polarize, everything gets polarized online. Fast all the time. Eat 6 meals a day. Which one do you do?
Yeah.
Right? But you go in different phases of it. So you do something for a month, then you switch it, then you move to the next phase, bring it back, and you do the exact opposite. Because the more you cycle your body on and off of that, the more your body actually gets a chance to adapt.
Interesting. Wow.
You want your body to adapt.
Yeah.
We're an adaptive mechanism, and if we're not adapting, we're dying.
All right. I'll start eating
In either
breakfast.
capacity.
Start eating breakfast tomorrow then.
Yeah, but don't make breakfast like, pancakes and waffles. That's not what I'm saying.
Nah.
Right? But if you start, even if you just did protein, 30 grams of protein. Tim Ferriss talks about it, Gary talks about it. You do 30 grams of protein first thing in the morning.
So they're like 5 eggs.
You could do 5 eggs. I don't know necessarily. That's probably a little high because you probably want to be careful of all the fat inside.
Right,
as well.
right.
But if you just have a protein shake.
Yeah.
Right.
What type of protein powder you do?
I do several different kinds. Right now, I have no affiliation with any of these. Sun Warrior, I love Sun Warrior just because the hemp protein's anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
But I've also started this new one, Momentum.
Okay.
And it's an anti-aging one. It's longevity. It's got a lot of nutrition inside of it. It's got trimethylglycine inside of it. It's got berberine inside. It's got a lot of great properties that people are supplementing kind of inside of it. So I really like it, actually. I've been doing it about 6 weeks now.
Nice. I'll check that one out.
Yeah.
Have you measured your epigenetic age?
I have.
What were the results?
29.
Wow. And how old are you?
46.
Holy crap. So you're doing something right.
Well, when we did the brain scans, I first went and did it. So when I do these brain age scans, in the personal development space, in the space, like, oh, it's great, yeah, I feel it. And someone said to me, would you ever be willing to put an EEG on someone's brain? And I said, absolutely. And they said, really? They said, no one in your industry ever wants to put it in that. I said, I'm not in the personal development industry. I'm a doctor who's helping people heal. That's what I do.
Right.
But I get clumped into personal development inside that. I said, I'm not doing that. Because I know that I can take your lab work, right? If I pulled your lab work right now, look at your cholesterol, triglycerides, your ALT, AST, I can look at it and say, okay, I can reverse engineer what's going on with the brain and the neurotransmitters. And then I can rewire your brain and then do a blood test and show you a different result. Now, of course, diet you can't just do that and say like, oh, let me eat McDonald's and pizza and wings every day. Call it. You can't do that. But you could see the changes. So I got these, the EEGs in, and we did a test. The guy's 35 years old. He's a Navy guy, right? So he's fit. He looks great shape. You look at him, he looks fantastic. We did his brain age. He was 42 years old.
Dang.
And then I rewired it, and then I did another EEG. It it went down to 24 years old.
Wow. And how long?
40 minutes.
What?
40 minutes.
Holy crap.
And so so I get the result, and I talked to the lead physiatrist over at the company, and they said, this is impossible. I said, it's not impossible. I just did it. And they said, would you do it again? I said, absolutely. And so I actually did an event we have in our community, and we had about 100 people doing EEGs. And out of 100 people, we did it. We tested them before, and we tested them the next day after.
Yeah.
And of that, we had the average brain age decrease in all the scans was 16 years of age.
Oh my gosh.
They said, now why that's important is it's not like, wisdom is older, of course, right? But the younger the brain age, the faster the brain processing. The faster the brain processing, the more information you're able to process.
Wow.
As you get older, Alzheimer's is where your brain is not processing as fast. Right? It's like, I don't know if you've ever gone out and had a couple drinks and then the next morning it's like,
slower.
Come on brain, click in.
Yeah.
It's slower. The younger it is, the faster it processes. That's why kids are the neuroplasticity in children is amazing inside that. The older we get, the neuroplasticity is harder. That's why I say old dogs are hard to change habits.
Yeah. So is that a daily exercise people have to do to maintain the lower brain age, or is it a one-time thing?
It depends. I mean, we've created technology. I've got an app right now that actually people can go in, and what it does, you go in and you do a voice recording, and from that it'll elicit your emotions. And from your emotions, and what you do is you go with the rewire button, and it'll actually help you rewire, ask the questions to rewire your brain on a day-to-day basis. So this is something good for anxiety, depression, thoughts, performance, how to, salespeople, entrepreneurs inside that. So it's something that I recommend people do daily inside that. I look at it and say, why do I have a brain age of 29? And when I'm 46, it's because I do this work on myself.
Yeah. This is incredible, man. So you can really fight against Alzheimer's with this.
I can't make that claim.
Yeah.
But if I had to just anecdotally say, could it potentially? Yes. Right? But I can't make that claim to say this is going to cure Alzheimer's. By no means am I doing that. But I am saying that the brain does process faster. I have one of my coaches in my community, she's a doctor, and she had a concussion. And she did all the standard protocols. I used to be a physical therapist, all that stuff. And she went through it, and for 5 years, they're like, that's it. We don't know. We have nothing else. And she started rewiring her brain with this work. And literally in a matter of 4 weeks, she went from remembering 3 numbers to 17 numbers in a row.
Dang.
And so the brain has the amazing ability to heal if we allow it to actually balance itself out.
Yeah, that's great news for athletes, because there's a lot of fighters and footballers that they're not the same after they retire, to be honest.
They're not. And physical trauma, like the blunt force physical trauma, is something that I can tell you that is it just takes a toll on your body.
Yeah.
It does. And I have never done any research behind it to sit and say, okay, what's the efficacy of it with someone with that type of trauma long term. I don't know the answer to that. But for the everyday person who's not that type of athlete, it's not a big deal. Like a lot of athletes I've worked, like baseball players and soccer players who aren't doing that head trauma, that's much easier to work with.
Yeah. Doctor, it's been a great episode. Anything you want to close off with or promote?
I think let's just, I'd rather say thank you. And if you're interested in learning more and getting the app for yourself, you just go to UltiMind AI, and you can actually rewire your brain, all on your own, and kind of and just do that as a daily practice. Perfect. It's kind of like we're talking about all this health stuff. Just make this a daily practice and manage your brain and your emotional health along with the rest of it.
Love it. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks for watching, guys. As always, see you tomorrow.